And for today's video, a review of a product that is not metalsmith related, but when you get asked to promote a product like this, of course you aren't going to say no. Monport contacted me and they asked me to do a review on their 80 watts CO2 laser. So let's open it up and get started. I unwrapped everything and now let's see what we have here. So everything you need to operate this machine is in the bag, from glasses to cables, power supply cords and even some tools. And even though I can't wait to get started, there are some things we need to do first. So we are going to inspect the machine thoroughly before we are going to put it to use. And this is the back of the machine where you can find the most important parts of it, such as the cooling system, but we are going to check out the laser itself first, and you can find that behind that big black box over here. I'll open up these screws. And now we can open up this part. And I think that this is really cool, and the carbon dioxide is going to shoot through here. That is why it's called a CO2 laser. And this is going to fill up with water to keep everything cool. And that is what gives this laser its power. Now we are going to check if everything is still in place. For instance, these rubber rings on both sides came undone during transport. So I am going to pop these back in. And you really want to make sure that everything is nice and tight and that there aren't any cracks visible in the laser tube. And I did find a dishwasher over here. I can tell that it's supposed to be on the mirror, but I don't know if it's supposed to be on this one, on this part or over there. So I am going to check out the other mirrors to be sure before I put it back in place. So while we're back here, let's inspect the water cooler, and everything that you need to do to get this to work properly is listed on here. And before you can use it, you need to get rid of the old water that's still in here. And you can do so by unscrewing this button here. And if you are ready to add some new water and you can only use distilled water, you can place the water in here. I want to make sure all that green stuff or yellow stuff is gone. So I am going to flush it. I filled the tank up with water up till this point. And I'm guessing that I used about 2.5 to 3 liters of water to get to this point. And it is extremely important to realize that you cannot start the machine before adding water to the cooler. The cooler will make sure that this tube is being filled with water while it's shooting laser beams. And if you do not have the water cooler attached, then this glass will become too hot and it will explode. And while we are at the back of the machine, let's put on this vent as well. And when I'm going to operate the machine, I am going to lead this part outwards through my garage door. And the only thing you have to do is put on this iron ring and tighten it up with a screwdriver. And on to the side of the machine. And I would say open up all compartments so you can really get a feel of how your machine is built and where to find stuff. And check all cables to make sure that they are attached properly. We're now looking in through the side of the machine where we can find the second mirror, and I did check to see the washer that I found with the big laser tube, but apparently I just have an extra washer because this one only has one as well. So during transport anything can happen, and that is why we are going to check out the obvious to make sure that our laser engravings will be perfect. We are going to test every corner to see if the honeycomb bed is leveled. And as you can see, this one fits under here perfectly. So I am going to use this to measure everything. And this corner over here is my starting point. I am going to push back the laser to the other corner and we are going to measure it again. And let's see how this one will line up. And it's just a millimeter, but in this corner it doesn't fit. Let's check out the other corners and see if we need to adjust something. The difference is minimal to me, less than a millimeter, so I will leave it as it is. But if you need to change something, then take a look down here. You can raise one part of your honeycomb bed by turning up this part over here, and there is a great tutorial on it. You can check it at Woodworks. And he explains thoroughly how you can do this without damaging your machine. I checked everything, read the manual carefully, looked at some films by other YouTubers, and I plugged the machine in. So now, if all goes well, the only thing we have to do is turn this on. And we have liftoff. And before you are going to use your laser, there is one very important thing you need to test out, and that is if your emergency button will work. So here goes nothing. And that's just perfect. And if you want to undo this, then simply twist it a bit and it will pop back up. And before we fire the first pulse, of course we want to know if the laser tube itself is leveled. So I have my spirit level over here. You can adjust the height of the laser tube with this knob over here. And there is one on the other side as well. And I am very gently moving this upwards a bit in my case. And I think that this should do it. I will stick a piece of painter's tape over here, and when we do fire a pulse we can see exactly where it is going to hit our painter's tape. And I am making sure by pressing this down that you can really see the circle, and if the laser beam will hit exactly in the middle of this circle. And every time that I am working on the laser, I will shut this off, so don't forget this. So between every pulse, shut it off. Now I want to test the laser, so I am going to turn this on. And this will only work if the orange button is on. There we go. And now we can press the pulse button and press it very lightly and very quickly, because if you hold this you will not get a pulse but you will get a laser beam. So like this. And we are going to check to see what the pulse did. Of course, switching this one off first. So it did look like it hit dead center, but when I took the tape off, and that is why you really want to make that circular impression, you can see that the laser should go up a tiny bit and move a little bit to the right. So we are going to adjust this. And let's start with moving this upwards, and just a tiny bit. And we'll do the same on the other side. I moved both of the supports for the laser, checked the level, and now we are going to fire another pulse. So this was my first test, the second one and the third one. I am content with the height, but I do want to move it to the right just a tiny bit. So let's get a decent read over here before we do anything. Well, this one marks 15.95 centimeters. So 15.95, and this one measures 15.85. So I am 1 millimeter off here. So let's undo these screws so we can move this one back a bit. And I marked where I need to be with a piece of tape. So I don't have to think, I just need to slide this backwards until it is a perfect fit, and then tighten these screws again. And I think we can agree that the big laser tube is positioned correctly. Now let's move on to the mirrors. And you'll find that first mirror right here on the side of the machine. I did place a piece of tape over there. I pressed it down so we can really see where the laser beam needs to hit. And now we are going to give it 2 pulses, one all the way to the front of the machine and one all the way to the back of the machine, just to see how these line up. And as you can see, we are close, but we're not there yet, because for a perfect laser beam, you want these holes to overlap each other. So we do need to adjust a bit at the back of the machine. The mirror is this back part over here, and it will reflect the light in that direction. In order to move your mirror, you have these 3 copper screws. This top one will help you adjust the mirror up and down. This one in the front will help you with aiming it from left to right, and this one in the back can help you out diagonally. So I use this number 7 wrench to undo these things so I can turn these knobs over here, but only turn them a little bit at a time. Just make sure the difference in the mirror part here is only 0.5 millimeter, because that will make a huge difference on the other side. So imagine my hand is the mirror, the laser beam will shoot like this now, but I want to tip over the mirror a bit more to that side so it will aim a bit more centered over there. So I am going this screw again, which is from left to right, and if I turn this a bit, this will open up, which means that the mirror is tilting in that direction. So let's see what that small adjustment did for my laser beam. And I will adjust this one tiny bit at a time and give it another pulse to test. And you just keep on adjusting, adjusting and adjusting until you are happy with your result. And you can see my progress here. I started on the far right, where you can see that the 2 dots are a pretty bit apart, and I ended here on the left. So I am going to change it one more time, and then I think I will be happy with it. 3 very important tips. 1, just twist this a tiny bit. 2, when you do secure this, hold on to your screw, because it will tend to move again. And 3, only change up 1 screw at a time and then check your results so you can really tell what is happening. So that one final adjustment turned into a whole new series of adjustments, but I think I'm there, so hopefully this will be the final fix. And this is the closest that I can get. So let's just leave it at this, and I will just tell myself that if I hold the pulse button a bit longer, then the holes will hit each other. The first mirror is set at the back of the machine, and now we are going to set the second mirror, and the second mirror will shoot through the third mirror, which is in here. So we are going to tape this up to be able to set the second mirror. So one more time, from the side of the machine, the first mirror will reflect into the second mirror, and the second mirror will aim its laser beam over there to the third mirror. So I am going to use one pulse all the way to the left of the machine at the second mirror, and then I am going to the right of the machine to the furthest end of the second mirror, and we are going to repeat the process of setting the mirrors. So I unfasten this one, and I am going to move the mirror towards me a little bit. So that one burned way too far to the right, so I know I was heading in the wrong direction. So I need to adjust my mistake. And this is how you are going to get the result that you're looking for, by just taking it one tiny step at a time. And when you finally have succeeded, it is time to do a pulse right here on the wood. You can see this tiny little dot, and you can see that this light is way off. So without touching or moving the wood, just bend this over a bit. Use the screw to set it, and make sure that this infrared dot is right on the little tiny dot that you engraved. And now, finally, you're ready to go. You can plug in your USB right here on the side of the machine. I am using a MacBook with a Lightburn Pro, and I set it to the perimeters of my machine. So I imported this tiny flower, and let's see if I can get it to the center of my screen. I am just going to engrave a tiny one because I want to show you what it is without wasting too much wood. For engraving, I set the speed at, let's change this, at 100, and I will go for 70%. Okay, so this is just an engraving, and I don't want to do a line. I want to make sure that this is nicely filled. So I'll go over to these buttons here. I will make sure that this one is on orange. I will turn this one on, and I will press play on the computer. And I forgot one very important thing here, and that is the height of your laser according to your material. And this comes with the machine, and you need to slide this one under here, but as you can see, we need to lower this just a bit. And to change the height of your honeycomb bed, press this button right here, which will open the menu. You can select Z mode and press enter. And then when you use these buttons, left and right, you can lower the bed or bring the bed upwards. And as you can see, this now fits under here perfectly. So this is the perfect engraving or cutting distance. And now let's press play and see if this machine works. And I can't show you the inside of the machine, but you can check on the progress right here on this little screen. And as you can see, it is engraving quite fast, so this will only take, let me check, 4 minutes to do this engraving, and I will show you the end result in a couple of seconds. And just take a look here. I accidentally engraved this with 2 passes. That's why this one took 4 minutes. This second one only has 1 pass. It's looking way nicer, and this one took me 2 minutes to engrave. And now it's time to play around a bit. I will test different settings. I'll even make a testing grid just to see how the wood responds best to my ideas. And of course, this machine can cut through wood. So we are going to make a small project, and I will show you exactly what this one can do. So I did quite a lot of testing until I was satisfied with my result. My wood was slightly warped, which didn't help, and I think that the wood that I used, this was 3.6 millimeters thick, and I think maybe 2.5 will be sufficient as well for what I am planning to do. So those things in mind, I found out that my favorite engraving setting is a speed of 50 with a power of 30%. And I really like the way that this is looking, the thickness of the letters, the clarity, and how deeply it is engraved in this type of wood, because you can do a test for every type of material that you will use and the outcome will be slightly different. And I found out that for this type of wood, 3.6 millimeters thick triplex or triplex, I don't know how you call it, with the walnut finish, that cutting at a speed of 2.5 with a 75% power and a minimum power of 75% was the best way to go for me. And one fun project I made is this one. And I made it with a friend of my daughter who is a real Harry Potter fan. And this is just to show you what type of things you can make. And this specific design was downloaded on Etsy, so you don't even have to design everything yourself. You can just download a complete file. And how awesome is this? I am going to put this one to the side, and I'll show you some other things that I have made with this Monport 80 watts laser. And I did turn the laser off, so it is nice and quiet now. But how about this one? A very cute serving tray with an engraving to make it personal. And what a fun gift something like this will make. Or of course a great item to sell through your web shop. I made another run for a different type of wood. And as you can see here, I do need to pay some extra attention to the alignment of the mirrors. I did use these settings to engrave this file, another one that I found on Etsy with the bird flowers of my nephew and niece, and I am going to give this one to my sister-in-law for her birthday. This one is a bit small, I do want to make them bigger, but this entire thing cost me 5 minutes to engrave. I am going to tweak the design a bit to my own likings, and I think that this might be a bestseller in my own web shop, a bird flower bouquet. And this is just the first time playing with the machine after installing it, with the settings not even set to the best of standards, but I'm having so much fun that I just want to keep going. And remember, give yourself time to get used to operating a machine like this, and these beautiful things will happen.